This estate was built in the 1920s by Sinclair Oil executive James Flanagan, who had it modeled after an Italian villa he had stayed at while in Europe on business. Today it's owned by Tim Walterbach and Randy Klima, who intend to update it for contemporary living.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for coming out.
So Tim, how did you come about purchasing this home?
Well, the night before, my wife and I were watching my favorite show, Flip This House, you can imagine as a builder. And they were featuring a 1925 California Mediterranean-style home. And I just love the way they respected the architecture, but modernized it, made it ready for someone just to move in, took care of every detail. So I bumped my wife and said, you know, that's exactly what I'd like to do. And the next day, I was sitting talking to my realtor, and right behind him was a flyer featuring this house right here. So we came over right away and signed a contract the next day.
So you have big plans for the future?
Big plans for the future. Like I said, respecting the architecture we have here, this cannot be rebuilt today. That's the first thing to understand in approaching a project like this. It's a piece of history and a piece of art. We don't want to tear into as little as we have to, but modernize it. Put all the modern conveniences, focus on the kitchen and the master bath. Those are usually the areas most affected on an old home like this.
Tim, we're real excited to see the plans you have for the house inside. But before we get too involved in the future of this home, we'd like to take a peek at the past. I'm now across the street from our Maple Ridge Villa, and I'm visiting with the home's former caretaker and neighbor of 23 years, Beth Fisher. Beth, welcome to Homescapes.
Welcome to Maple Ridge.
Beth, give me a brief history of the home.
The house was built by a J.P. Flanagan. He and his wife were over on the Italian Riviera and saw this particular house and completely fell in love with it and came back and reproduced it. So it was built, it took 2 years to build, probably from 1920 to 1922.
And what makes this home so special?
It is one of a kind. It cannot be reproduced or duplicated because of the expense and the money that went into that at that time.
What are some of the one-of-a-kind features?
Miss Elsie DeWolf, the first woman interior decorator, I have a telegram in my house that said she came in 1926. She hand-painted all of the murals that are in the dining room. The rotunda, in the round rotunda, we have a light fixture that came from Rome. The mantle in the living room, all of the mirrors over it came from Italy. The Austrian crystal chandelier that's worth a fortune right now is in the dining room. And every fixture in this house is original. It has not been removed or changed.
That's fascinating. Beth, are you excited about the remodel that's happening?
I am absolutely relieved that it's going to be put back in its former glory. And Mr. Walterbach has been a joy to work with.
Remodeling a home of this size is not an easy task. There are many things that have to come out before the new can come in. Stay tuned to learn more about this massive remodel. And when we come back, Lee Sherman from Hahn Appliances will be visiting with us about the importance of your home appliance selections. Also later in the show, builder Tim Walterbach will be showing us around some of his specific plans upstairs.
Standing in our Maple Ridge Villa, where we're going to be seeing all the different projects that are happening. There's a lot of things going on, but before we get to that, I want to just show you a quick look around, okay? So come with me. We're in the living room right now of this house, and one of the things they did back in the 1920s is obviously they didn't have air conditioning, so you see here there's 6 sets of these doors, so on a hot day, they turn their living room into a front patio, basically. Now back through here is an amazing rotunda. Now, this lamp here was imported from Rome. You see all the trim work. I mean, some of this stuff will look familiar if you've been to the Philbrook. This is a rotunda that every single room is attached to. Now, one of the things you can't tell just by looking on the outside of this home is the fact that there's actually 2 floors. That other floor is below us. So let's go check out the basement. So it's the 1920s. Prohibition is at its peak. So what do you do with all your alcoholic beverages? You hide them in a secret compartment underneath the stairs. That's what they did here with this. Now, after Prohibition, they decided to go ahead and put in a full-service bar here. And then back through here is one of the largest dens I've ever seen, complete with loads of shelving. It's a beautiful fireplace. It'll be interesting to see how they incorporate this into the new plan. Now, right through here is actually where the servants' quarters were. Now, that used to be separate from the house, but when they decided to connect it, they had to connect it right through here. And that's why you're greeted by a bathroom as you go through here, a little bit different than what you'd see today. Okay, so this is actually one of the original rooms where the living quarters were for the servants for the house. And there's several different rooms connected to this main room. In fact, actually, right through here is a wall. And there's actually a story behind that, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But through here is more of like a utility closet. You see all the pipes above us that are color-coded so you can tell what is flowing through them. But it's just a mess back here. Down here, this is actually my favorite part. This is the kitchen for the servants. You can see the walls are a mess. Over through here is another room that looks like it at one point had been updated. There's fluorescent lighting and the drop ceiling here. I'm sure all this will go. And then through here, a laundry room that's in pretty bad shape. So you can tell that Tim has a lot of work ahead of him to make this place look nice. Ken, what's going on, man?
How you doing today?
Ken is a project manager here at the house, and now this used to be the master bath, right, for the entire house?
Kind of small, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Our intention is to make this the guest bathroom and a powder room.
Okay.
And change one of the other bedrooms into a master bath.
Sure.
Kind of upgrade it and modernize it.
Sure.
And what we've done is we're going to keep the shower.
Okay.
And we've had to remove the old bathtub to make room
Yeah.
for the area that we need.
Wow.
And it's been pretty labor intensive, about 12 man hours. We've had to jack it up with hydraulic jacks, cut some of it out. It's encased in about 3-inch thick.
Wow.
That's old plaster all the way around it, which made it pretty difficult.
The whole house, all the walls are made out of this plaster, right? You don't see that today, do you?
Well, you see how well it adhered to the outside wall. We've just taken, lost sections of the brick.
Yeah.
So, but it shows the craftsmanship in the walls and the plumbing even. This is the original plumbing, and it's all hand machined. It's adjustable. Every little area of it's adjustable.
Today you'd see a PVC pipe with a drop in it. Wow. This is all handcrafted.
It'd hold water indefinitely, wouldn't it?
Wow.
So, and our intention is to bring this out and make it a closet for match the women's. It's going to have 2 closets over here. We're going to make this an additional 3rd closet for more space.
Great.
And then just open this all back up with the original subway tile that we removed.
Yeah.
We're going to go back in with that and the flooring.
Now, what are we doing on the floor here?
It's kind of
cool.
We're going to go back and match this.
So this is all the original flooring here.
Yeah, it was really popular in the early 20s.
Wow.
Still is today. So.
Well, cool. Thank you, Kent, for showing us around. I'm going to head out to the master bedroom.
You have a good one.
Bet. See you. Hey, Tim.
Hi, Chris. Good.
Now, we're here in the master bedroom, right?
Yeah.
So what's the game plan for in here?
Well, unfortunately, it's a 1920 size master bedroom with a 1920 size closets. So this would just not do these days.
Yeah, not a whole lot of room for much of anything in here.
No, a few suit coats,
Yeah.
dinner jacket, and that was all they had in there.
Wow, okay. I see here the servants' quarters bell.
Right.
Something, a feature of a nice home ec in the 20s.
You ready for him to come press your pants?
That's right. Absolutely.
Serve you breakfast in bed.
Cool. So what else here? What else is going on?
Well, so this becomes a guest room. So then the dilemma became, what are we going to do for a bathroom? This was the master bathroom.
Okay.
And it was way undersized too. So,
small.
And the house didn't have a powder room.
Okay.
So we'll leave the door here, but we're going to cut open a hole into the living room so that the guests can enter, which will become the powder room.
Sure.
So we had this room back here, which was not quite the size of a master. So in this closet, there used to be a door right here. This was a linen closet.
Okay.
So we took out the linen closet, and this back here was a cedar closet. Took that out, gave it a couple extra foot. We're going to close that door behind us here, and this becomes the new master with 3 closets.
This was 2 closets here.
Linen closet for the hallway, and then a cedar closet.
You can see the size that they had back in the day. This was 2 of them.
And this little section right here that's real dull, that was a hidden closet in the closet. Had a little push button that you opened up.
Secret door.
A little secret door. That's the second one we know about. We're hoping to find more. So we come in now. This becomes a closet where the bathtub was.
Sure.
Take that out.
Close this
Put
off.
a cedar closet in there. And then this now becomes the master closet. This was a bathroom that we are now making into the women's closet, and then his closet back here. Fortunately, this room was added on in the 50s, this sunroom, which is really ironic because one of the trends now is to take a room, punch it out, and make that the master bathroom, which floods it with light like this. So we've come in here and decided this is going to be the new master with all these great windows. The shower will be over here, a washer and dryer, because the laundry for the servants was way downstairs and nobody wants to go do that now. So we're going to put a little stackable here, tub here, 2 vanities, and toilet over in the corner.
Very nice. Now, I love these windows. These are the original casement style windows. And Tim, actually, they look like they're in pretty good shape.
Yeah, fortunately, we had some concerns when we first bought the house, wondering what kind of shape they'd be in. But once we got them all opened, there's really no wood rot. All we got is the old pink paint. Believe it or not, the house, I understand, was painted pink by Harrington back in the 50s. And then they changed to the ugly green. So the neighbors are very interested in us getting these all back the way they should be in the right color.
Sure.
So we're going to sand them down to where they don't stick and get them in good operating order.
Great, great. Now the ceiling is very interesting. Tell me about this.
Well, I understand that this was added, again, by Harrington in the 50s with this atrium on here. So we are taking that off, getting it back to the flat roof, because we're getting a lot of input from the neighbors. They don't like that on this grand old historic home.
Yeah.
Something that was done in the 50s or 60s, something like that. So, but we're going to put a flat roof back on here and then come in with some sunlight, some skylights to bring back that natural light.
Keep that nice natural light. Great. Well, let's check out the kitchen.
Okay.
Well, here we are in the kitchen where a major part of the remodel is happening.
Yeah, you know, the 2 most important areas of a remodel is the master bathroom and the kitchen.
Sure.
Especially in this kitchen. This was a 1920s kitchen built for the servants, not the owners of the house. So it was purely function. They even had stairs, I understand it used to go down right here, and there's a blanked out door downstairs where they could go in and out without bothering the residents of the house.
Wow.
So very functional. That was a purpose, not a lot of beauty, so we'll hopefully come back and add a little beauty to it.
Sure, sure. I see some remnants here of some of the stuff you've been tearing out.
Yeah.
Countertops here.
Well, the cabinets and the countertops are just not functional. Had the 1920s hardware on and everything, so we're ripping that out. But we're going to maintain the style still.
Okay.
In the long, tall, white cabinets with Carrera countertops and subway tile backsplash. And you know, unfortunately, when you start digging in, you find little surprises like a flue in the middle of the kitchen or downstairs cannery is what I understand is when they canned preserve things. That's what that's for. So we're going to make a positive out of it. We're going to tile it and put an arch right here.
Very nice.
The whole thing over the oven.
Right. Now this wall, all of this is going to go out. We're going to put in a breakfast nook, so it should make this whole area much more spacious.
Part of that open plan living that's popular now that wasn't back then.
Yeah.
So we'll open this up. Not only this, bring the dining area into the kitchen, make the kitchen feel a lot bigger, but we'll open this up where the refrigerator used to be, and that will put you right into the dining room, you know, by the fireplace where there would be a little sitting area.
That's great, that's great. Let's go check it out from the other side.
Okay.
All right, so here we are in the dining room. We're actually going to be taking out some of these walls, or portions of this wall. Is that right?
Right. Well, the dining room or breakfast nook that we just stepped through, we're going to open that up to match this arch right here. So now part of that open plan living. And for greater flow, we're going to open up right here where that refrigerator was and cut that open. Yeah.
So this will completely connect the kitchen.
Right.
Now, these murals were hand painted by Elsie DeWolf, and she painted these in her Paris studio and then had them brought over here when she designed this room. I assume these are very collectible. We're gonna want to save these.
Right. Since we bought the house, we've learned a lot about Elsie DeWolf. She was, by some reports, America's first paid female interior designer.
Okay.
And so she put these, fortunately, on canvas, and they'll be able to be removed rather easily. We've got Sotheby's and Christie's and Bonham and Butterfield's they're giving us a bid at auction So they'll come in, when whoever we choose, they'll come in and preserve them, properly package them, and then at auction, they'll sell the whole room. The mirrors that go in between these and the wallpaper and everything.
Wow.
So they'll take it in their home and have an Elsie DeWolf room.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Now, let's talk about these floors, these herringbone floors. I love this pattern. This is wonderful.
Actually, we thought they were mahogany and oak and then cherry, but they're just cherry stained dark, then oak, and then cherry again. So, interestingly enough, you see all the nail holes. Yeah, if we want to finish this, we had to set all those. There are thousands of them. We had 3 people for a week in here setting these, but we're about ready to come in and sand it down and refinish it.
Great, great. Over here, we're going to be cutting into this wall back into the alcove.
Yeah, this is where we'll match this arch, and this will be a functional powder room for the guests, which the house didn't have.
Very nice, very nice. Well, I'm so excited about everything that's going to be happening over the next 6 months. We're going to be right here seeing it all happen. So that's all for this show. We'll see you next time right here on Homescapes. Remodeling can be as simple as removing a shower door and replacing the wallpaper to as complicated as completely recreating a master bedroom suite, cutting in archways, tearing down walls, and basically fully rearranging a home's floor plan, which is essentially what has happened at this home. Well, today we are back at our Mediterranean villa in Midtown at Sunset and Madison. And for those of you watching today who have not seen our previous episodes, we'll give you a little run through to bring you up to speed. The changes in this home have been nothing but dramatic and exquisite up to this point, and the future is certain to prove nothing but the same. First, let's take a quick peek at some of our footage from 3 months ago. As you can see, the design was a bit dated, and you'll notice many walls in these images that no longer exist. As we heard from Tim in our June episode, one of his primary objectives in remodeling this home was to give this 1920s Italian villa the functionality and conveniences of a newly constructed home. And to do this is no walk in the park. Walls have to come down, doorways removed, bathrooms completely relocated, closets eliminated, larger closets created, and the list goes on and on and on. One thing that has not changed about this home, though, is the rare, elegant style and curb appeal. Tim's crew has changed the exterior color of the home, but apparently the old green wasn't well liked, as all the neighbors have welcomed the new color with open arms and many smiles. Ultimately, this home will be for sale, and the most important thing for a builder or remodeler to keep top of mind when constructing is achieving the details that the future owner will want. What's becoming more apparent every day that this home is no exception to that rule. From a new swimming pool to a new master bathroom that is nearly 8 times larger than the original, whoever buys this home will be enjoying amenities beyond their imagination. Welcome to Homescapes, I'm Chris Munch. Well, rarely do we get the chance to show you a huge remodeling project from start to finish. But several months ago, we introduced you to this mammoth Walterbach remodeling project at Sunset and Madison. And today, we get to show you the finished product. It's been an amazing transformation we can't wait to show you. Coming up on Homescapes, Tulsa's premier home and garden show. Well, from eyesore to sight for sore eyes, the remodeling project at this villa in Sunset Terrace, it's nothing short of amazing. And 3 people have been with us throughout this project: Sean and Mimi from McGraw Realtors and Tim Walterbach from Walterbach Homes. How's it going, everyone? How are you? Well, is it safe to say that this is move-in ready?
Chris, it is move-in ready.
Okay.
We are so excited. We're here today. The transformation's taking place. It turned out beyond our dreams, and we're here to unveil it for the audience.
Great, great.
It's amazing over the course of the last few months since our last show what has actually happened here. Now we're ready for a new homeowner.
I'm excited to show you the unveiling, show you what we've done.
Well, let's not waste any time. Sean, Mimi, we'll see you here in a minute. Tim, why don't you show us around? All right, Tim, where do you want to start?
Well, we could start right out at the curb.
Okay.
We had curbs built in the 20s that were all crumbling, so in keeping with our total transformation, where somebody could come in and take over this house and not have anything to do on the weekend for the next 5 years, hopefully. We replaced the curbs, regraded the yard, new grass, picked up the old limestone sidewalk, relaid it nice and straight. If you remember, this was that herringbone brick with weeds
it's all
going,
falling apart.
all falling apart,
Yeah.
and the Carthage stone border was all falling apart also. So we put that back, and then we found this at this travertine, the 1-inch travertine at Hardscapes, and put it in here in the front.
That's amazing.
Yeah, one thing always affects another, you know. So once we painted the house, it was all. Remember, it was that lime green.
Yeah,
look.
yeah.
My wife calls it the Zio's green, the mint green.
Yeah.
And so we, after we painted that, and all the neighbors congratulated us for painting that, we saw that it really needed a new roof.
Right.
Originally, I wanted to keep that roof.
Yeah.
And I wanted to keep this, you know, but
Yeah.
it just once you start fixing something up, it really
something
makes
else stand out.
really
Yeah.
bad. So as you see, we put a whole new tile roof on there.
That's great.
Lasts another 100 years.
Yeah, it's great. Well, this looks beautiful out here. Let's check out the backyard.
Okay, great.
And this iron gate is new as well, right?
Yeah, we did this in the same fashion that the rest of the iron work was done.
Okay, matched it to the what was already existing.
Yeah. We need to do that, of course, because we added a pool.
Right, right.
Code says you have to have at least a 4-foot fence around the pool. Here's our pool that we put in. You know, we like that travertine so much up front, we thought we'd put it around here. In debating what color to put it, the plaster, we went with white because that was kind of keeping with the feel of the 20s home. That's what they, every pool back then was white plaster, I understand.
Okay.
And keeping with the Mediterranean look, we went with the travertine. Nice clean lines.
Absolutely. I mean, the last time I was here, this was just a big hole in the ground. You know,
Right.
everything was torn up.
A muddy mess.
It looks beautiful back here.
Yeah. Yeah, Chris, during this whole process, I've learned so much of the interesting history of the house.
Yeah.
This gazebo, I found out through looking at the original plans and the stories from the neighbors, used to be on the back side of this house.
Okay.
This section that juts out here, about 10 foot, actually went in the distance of that gazebo, and that gazebo is back there. But Flanagan,
Right.
Or
This thing from Sinclair Oil.
yeah,
Right.
the guy who had the house built,
Right.
and Skelly were good friends, rivals,
Right.
and they had a contest to see who could have the bigger dining room.
Okay.
So he pulled that off, pulled that out to get
Okay.
a foot more than Skelly did.
Wow.
But I think Skelly had the last word on it. I think he went a little further
Wow.
and beat him.
That's amazing. Well, you know, everybody's always trying to keep up with the Joneses, so I
That's
guess
right.
even back in the 20s, they did the same thing. Well, now
Some
this
things never
fountain
change.
turned out great. This looks great.
Yes, you know, this had the old concrete back here. That
Right. Yeah.
I was planning on saving and
Uh-huh.
just putting flagstone on, but the more you
Yeah.
fix up, the worse things look.
Common theme.
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
So we got a bobcat here and pulled it all up, and we were able to start fresh.
Yeah.
And so my landscape architect drew up the plan, Carl Safransky, and drew up this fountain.
It's great.
You look like you might recognize the
Yeah.
turn.
This is from the front of your neighborhood as you come in here. These are on either side,
The
right?
historical marks from Vision 2025.
Okay. And you didn't steal these,
No,
right?
no, I didn't steal it. We ordered one and thought it'd be perfect for a fountain. So we ordered it, and we cut these notches in here to get the right flow, and we added gas to it, so at night it lights up.
Wow.
Very cool.
Very nice. I mean, that's amazing right there. Very cool. You want to check out inside?
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, this is amazing. This was the solarium, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, with just the glass top.
Yeah.
I see you kept the windows here.
Uh-huh.
We talked about that. This looks great.
Along with the changing the color of the house, one of the big issues in the neighborhood was this solarium that was put in the 60s.
Okay, yeah.
And so we took that off and went back with the clay tile roof. Then we had fortunately we had this room, so we could, make bring in the modern conveniences of a master bath.
Right.
That we couldn't get in the small bathroom. So 3 major components would be the shower.
Walk-in shower.
Walk-in
right?
shower
Yeah.
with the frameless glass. We didn't have anything back here at the time. So we started from scratch there. We added a washer and dryer too, so they don't have to walk up and downstairs with their laundry.
Right, right.
A whirlpool bath, which is kind of expected in this level of home, and then his and her vanity. If I remember right, you were a little skeptical about us being able to get all this in there.
Well, we talked about it. You laid it all out for us, but I didn't know in just this big open room like this how it would all come together. And I'm blown away. This is amazing. Yeah, it works beautifully. So this is definitely one of the highlight rooms for me. But let's check out the kitchen.
Okay, great. Chris, you remember this arch wasn't here.
Right.
We turned the master bathroom into the powder room, which shows you something about the size that they had back in closets and bathrooms.
Right.
We turned that into the powder room, opened this up.
Broke that out.
There was a door over here, if you remember, that went into this guest bedroom, but since that's the master, we didn't want that open up to the living room.
Right.
And then we had this kitchen that was used by the servants. It was all cordoned
Tucked
off
away,
over here.
yeah.
So to create the flow, we opened up this arch and this arch to match this one.
Right, and they had just a small door here, right?
Correct.
That was completely.
There was a
taking
swinging
us out.
door here and a swinging door there, and it created this little cave.
Yeah.
So we opened it up and made it worthy of a house of this caliber.
You've done just that. This is unbelievable.
And yet being modern fixtures, lights.
Yeah.
Gen Air cooktop and Gen Air refrigerator. But keeping with the theme of the 20s, the Carrera marble and the subway tile and the white cabinets, chrome hardware.
Really, this whole kitchen is just like a perfect balance of 1920s authenticity, but has that modern feel as well, all the amenities of a modern kitchen. You got the wine cooler here. I mean, everything you would need in a modern kitchen is here.
Including a microwave drawer. I don't know if you've ever seen one.
What is that? How does that work?
You just put your food in there, touch that, off it goes. That's another one of those modern conveniences that I think would amaze old J.P. Flanagan.
Absolutely.
But, you know, sincerely, I think we've respected his original vision for the place and the effort and money he's put into this, and brought in modern conveniences, but yet respected what he did here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited today to hear all the stories of how your vision for the next 80 years for this house is coming together.
Yeah, you've kind of been here from the beginning.
I have.
It's been a lot of fun, hasn't it?
It has. I haven't had to do any of the work, which is nice. I just get to see the results, but we're excited to be able to see this. So I appreciate you letting us be a part of it.
Great. Thanks for coming out.
You bet. Stay tuned. We'll be back right after this. We're going to head back into the kitchen to check out the new stove area. Well, the focal point of this incredible kitchen is this beautiful hearth right here. And I'm talking with the gentleman responsible for building it, Chris.
Hi.
Tom, how you doing?
Good. How are
They're
you?
from Grace Interior Trim. Now, you guys are responsible for making this happen. What goes into building this?
Well, Chris, it starts out, we had a couple challenges. We had some things to work around. Behind this column right here is a concrete column.
Okay.
So we had to cover this up.
Sure.
And we also had to make something that was aesthetically pleasing and yet symmetrical that would flow with the rest of the kitchen.
Right.
Now, originally, when we had designed this, we were designing in the style of the rest of the house. It was a little more square, a little more one-dimensional, but Tim was determined to make this mantle, this hearth, the centerpiece of the kitchen.
Okay.
And we really wanted something that would pop out and just really grab the attention of people.
It certainly does.
So what we started doing, we went through several revisions, and you know, some of the revisions we went through was just trying to make it a little more three-dimensional, give it a little more style, you know, in the curves, like on the corbels here and with the crown molding and whatnot. But several revisions, just changing a little bit here and there to try to get that perfect look that Tim was looking for.
Yeah.
Yes, and Chris can tell you more about these revisions.
Well, there was 4 of them. We built it exactly the way Tim would like it the first time, with the shaker style and the square thing, but it just looked too boxy with too big open spaces. So then we tried to incorporate some of the paneling that was on the island.
Yeah.
So we thought, well, if we put that paneling in, it would look kind of stupid if we left it flat, so then we made these smaller columns. And then we tried just a small crown mantle above the corbels, but then Tim said, well, I think it's too small, we need a bigger crown. So, but to change the size of the crown, to make it symmetrical, then you have to change, that automatically forces the panels to be a different size. So we had to adjust the reveals on the panels, and so that meant tearing it off the wall again and totally rebuilding it.
Right.
And so it was the fourth time, and then we had to decide on the final crown mold the way it would tie into the ceiling. Well, everything, it just didn't fit. So we had to tear everything down and make the panels right so the reveals were correct, and finally we got it so that everything tied in correctly, and it's awesome. It's a showpiece. It turned out really, really well.
It really did.
I'm pleased with it.
That's great. Well, what were some of the other projects that you worked on in this house?
Well, we were trying to think of something to do with the space downstairs, so we built a wine rack into that. We helped them lay out the cedar closet. The bathroom here, we overlaid the walls. It was concrete walls that were looking pretty rough. They're very solid and structurally sound, but so we did a beadboard inlay on that, and we paneled that out. But one of the largest challenges is that Tim was determined to keep the historic value of the property. A lot of the trim work, he was determined that rather than take it off the wall and buy something off the shelf, is they would have it custom milled to match the original architecture, which meant that George Mills, our lumber rep from Mill Creek, had to quickly take the trim profiles we handed him, run to Mill Creek, get knives ground and milled, and he had everything turned around and back on site in 7 days.
Wow.
We had at least, I think we have 12 trim carpenters, and at some point all of them were down here working on this property. And just their gift made room for them in each area that they were needed. And it was just amazing to see how each person would shine. You'd throw them a test and they'd come out with a testimony. I mean, they just did something amazing. I mean, our crew just made this whole place shine. I'm grateful.
Certainly did. Thank you guys so much, man. It looks great.
Thanks, Chris.
Well, typical of homes built in this time period, this home is virtually covered with wooden floors. And to talk to us about those floors is Jim from Premier Wood Floors. How you doing, Jim?
Great, Chris. How are you?
I'm doing excellent, doing good. Now, this is a pretty big project for you guys.
Absolutely, Chris. It's a tremendous job, and it was a very unique opportunity for us to be able to work in this house. What we had to do in this house was virtually 95% of restoration and about 5% of the new floor that we put in, and then some repairs that we did as well. It pretty much used all the abilities that we have in our company as far as restoring, building, and repairing for the wood floors.
Right. Now, we're in the great room. These floors are unbelievable. I've never really seen anything like this before. Now, this is restoring, am I right?
Correct. This is a great room, and the great room is covered with a pattern that we call the chevron pattern. The chevron pattern at this particular house has two different species of wood. One is a little bit darker naturally, and the other one is a little bit lighter. So in order for us to be able to achieve the look that we need to have in this chevron pattern, we were supposed to be able to, we were used a stain that made this accentuate the pattern itself.
Bring out the contrast.
Exactly. So you can't really have it too light to where it's going to look like just regular wood floor, and you can't have it too dark where it would look solid and has no pattern in it.
Right.
To achieve that, we had Julia Kirkendall with Kirkendall Design as an interior decorator come up with a color that was able to bring out the pattern itself and the way it's supposed to look like.
That's great. So this isn't two different color stains. This just one species soaks up more of the stain than the other species.
That is correct. That's one particular color that's covered the whole entire floor, but it did accentuate the pattern itself.
Now in the front room, there's a pretty interesting pattern as well. Talk to me about that.
The front room has a pattern to where it's very unique, and you really are not supposed to sand it too far down or not sand it enough to where you can still achieve the look that they intended for the floor to have. So it was very difficult to do, but at the same time, if you did it properly, it turned out just like the way it did.
That's great. Now, talk to me about the 5% of your project, the other 5%, the new construction.
The 5% is basically the kitchen nook area. The kitchen nook area did have some tile in it, and what we had to do is remove the tile, and it had a different elevation than the kitchen itself. So we had to raise the elevation to where it would be one flat surface, one smooth, seamless surface, and then figure out what species of wood that was used and use the same grade and same pattern to continue that into the nook and be able to stain it and come up with the same exact color. And the second challenge in the kitchen was the fact that they had a pattern that we needed to tie into, so it would make it look seamless as far as the kitchen and the nook area as well.
That's great. Well, you did a fantastic job. It looks amazing.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Chris.
With the wood floors adding so much elegance to the house, Tim wanted to continue that trend into the kitchen and bathrooms, so he called out the experts at AMG to install custom marble countertops, which proved to be a wise decision. Hey David.
Hey, how you
How's it
doing?
going? Thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you.
The marble looks phenomenal in this house. What kind of marble is this?
This marble is called white Carrara.
Okay, where do you find white Carrara marble?
White Carrara comes from, of all places, Carrara, Italy.
Okay.
The statue of David, as you might heard, is also made out of white Carrara.
Okay.
So what they did back in that time period is they would take wedges made out of wood, put them in the crevices up in the mountain, pour boiling water on them that would actually make the wood expand and break the rock off the side of the mountain.
Really? That sounds tough.
Well, you know, I think it'd be harder getting the water up there than anything.
But I assume the technology has come a long way since.
Oh, thankfully so. Yeah, that's true.
Now, this is a pretty big piece of marble here. What does something like this weigh?
This one will weigh about 500 pounds.
Wow. So how do you get that in here?
Well, usually we would start with just trying to lift it in here, but after we got older, we realized that it's better to come up with some means to get it in here. So we've got all of our trucks now that have ramps in them.
Okay.
Each one of our box trucks have the height inside of it built so you can actually slide it over to a cart, like a drywall cart. We actually bring it in on. We made sure that they're sitting at about 13 inches high, so as you roll in here to the countertops, we actually can just tilt it over against the countertop itself and let the weight of the marble help put it on there.
Wow.
You still have to slide it some, but if you'll notice, we have about 1.25 inch overhang, which is standard for the industry goes. But the marble and granite itself is actually as fragile as glass.
Really?
So if we was to slide this down to about 12 or 13 inches of overhang, you can actually just push on it and break it.
Really? What was the reasoning behind choosing Carrara marble for this home?
Well, in keeping with the Midtown area in the 1920s on this house, at that time, the most prestigious marble was white Carrara in the early 20s. As you probably notice in the rest of the house, we have some mantles and some thresholds that's made out of it. So we just touched some of those up to keep the Midtown area preserved in this house. If you'll also notice, we used the white Carrara both on the backsplash and along underneath the countertop. What we try to do with that is, just as you have a loaf of bread, think of a large block that come out of that mountain that we was telling you about. Right. And we're going to slice that up just like loaves of bread. So as you open it up, just as you see the veins in your hand, you'll also see veins in the marble.
And they just match up.
At either side of the vein, you'll see it what we call a mirror finish.
Okay.
And so you don't really want to have to look at the seam, but if you are going to look at it, you'd like to see the beauty of it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, what were some of the areas, the different areas that you've used this type of marble in this home?
Well, between the kitchen and the backsplash, we also used it in the master bath, both for the vanity tops and in the shower. The things that we changed in the shower was turn the marble up so it has a different look to it, both with the Versailles pattern, and then we used what we call a mosaic, which they did a lot in Italy at the time, on the floor to help the water drain, both to the drain and for cosmetic looks.
Well, when we return, we'll catch back up with Sean and Mimi to hear what they have to say about the amazing renovation. Stay tuned, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Homescapes. Today we've seen some of the amazing remodel work that's happened at this historic home at Sunset and Madison. And rejoining us today from McGraw Realtors is Sean and Mimi. Ladies, now you have been a part of this project really from the beginning. What would you say has been the most dramatic change that's happened in this home?
Well, Chris, from the exterior standpoint, I think we've taken a house and made it into a luxurious estate. We achieved that by warming up the color of the outside, making it more appealing to most people. We create a very lush lawn, wonderful landscaping, and the addition of the pool and the spa has really completed the look.
Well, from an interior standpoint, I think Tim has done a really good job to make this home have a very cohesive feeling. When we first came in, there was a variety of different textures and so forth on the wall, and he's come in and he's done a really good job of finding the balance between the old and the new.
Well, what's been the feedback so far?
Well, Chris, we've been very excited. Last Thursday night, we had the Candlelight Tour, which comes once every 10 years to Tulsa to look at historic homes. So they toured the home, and we had a resounding approval from them. They were very excited about how Tim had kept the integrity of the house, left all the old moldings, the fireplaces, all the features we could keep. And then the modern day buyer has come through. We've had over 500 people here in 2 days touring the home, And they love all the modern features added, particularly the kitchen, the master suite, the pool, of course, and the media room downstairs. So overall, we've had a wonderful response and we're very thrilled.
So there you have it, a complete renovation transformation. They have done wonders turning a mixture of styles into an elegant showcase of historical craftsmanship. We hope you've enjoyed following it as much as we have.